Hello and welcome to another tutorial. This one is how to build a simple game and it's called Catching Apples. What I'm going to do first is just run you through the game just to show you what it is. So when I press play here, just some apples will start falling from the top and you have this basket here. I already lost, but the apples will start falling and then you just have to catch them down here in this basket. So it's just a simple game. Could be fun, I don't know. Alright, let's get into it. So first I'm going to start a new Xcode project. And so I'm going to go create a new Xcode project, single view application. I'm going to call it Catching Apples. Alright, and we're going to be using storyboard as well. So what I'm going to start off by doing is going to my main.storyboard, and I'm just going to start with the UI first. And so what we want is we need this background right here. We need this label right here that says Catching Apples. We need the play button, and we need the high score label down here. So I already have these photos, so you could just download some from the web or use your own photos, but I'm just gonna go and get mine. And when you get them, you're just gonna copy them and you're just gonna drag them into your file like that, and make sure copy items if needed is ticked up there, and press finish. And I have a couple more. Alright, and so I'm gonna start off with the image that's in the background. So I'm gonna go down here, I'm gonna find image, type in image view, and then I'm just gonna make it fill up the whole screen. And then I'm going to go to the attribute inspector over here, and for that image I'm going to choose I think it's called, I called it, nope, not that one, tree 2, nope, it's an ugly tree, this one, called tree.jpg. Alright, and now I need the label, so I'm going to go down here, search for a label. I'm just going to make it big enough to see. Go over here to alignment and I'm going to center it, change the color to white so you can see it better, and call it the name of our game, Catching Apples. And then I'm just going to bold it, click the T right there, bold, and just make it bigger. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here for our high score. Drag it, except what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy it, go down here, and I'm going to paste it. Whoops, that didn't work. Alright. I'm just going to call it high score 0. Need a play button, so just button, put that in the center, and then go to image, and then call the play button. And then I'm just gonna delete the text, and then just make it a little bit smaller. Alright, there goes our UI for the first page. And now what we're going to do is we need a class to be associated with this view controller so that we can get all the variables and buttons. So I'm going to go to File, New, File, Cocoa Touch class. I'm going to call this Home page. And then I'm going to go here, I'm going to type in UI View Controller. Alright, and create. Then go back to your main storyboard, select this view controller right here, and go over here to the identity inspector. And then in here I'm going to type in the name of the class that you just created. So it's called homepage view controller. And so now that class is associated with this with that view controller. All right. So when we press this play button, it goes to this other page over here. So what we need to do is create this new page that's over here. All right. So there I'm gonna go type in view controller. And I'm gonna basically do the same thing. Get the image view again. Attribute inspector, tree.jpg, and then I'm gonna get another image view, put it down here, and then this one's gonna be the basket. So I'm just gonna make this basket a little bit smaller. Let's say go to the size inspector, width and height. Let's see what 50 by 50 looks like. Alright, and I'm just going to put it in the middle for now. Alright. And then what we need to do is, when you click this play button, we need to go to this different view controller over here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to this play button, I'm going to click it, and then I'm hold down control, I'm going to click it again, and I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to press present modally. And then just to make sure our constraints are right, I'm going to click this view controller for the home page, go down to this triangle, and press reset to suggested constraints. And then go over here and do the same thing. Then I'm going to build and run the app just to make sure everything's working. Alright, so far it looks like everything's in the right spot. We got our play button, and if we click it, it goes to that other page. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, again, create a new file. Cocoa Touch class again. This time we're going to name it gameplay, and then UI view controller like the other one was. Create it. Go back to our storyboard, and then make sure that this page is set to that. So we call it gameplay. Alright. So now what we want to do is, on this second page over here, we want our apples to fall from our tree. And to do that, we want that to happen right when the view appears. So we're going to find a method called view will appear. And in here, we're going to have our apples fall from the tree. And so what I did was, I used a timer so that the apples could fall every, let's just say every second. So to do that, I'm going to do timer dot scheduled timer with interval. Timer interval is just 1 second. Repeats is true, so that it repeats every second. And then the block, you're going to press enter on there, and then this is what you want to happen. And this is just a name for the timer. I'm just going to call it T1, just not getting confused. So every second I want to create a new image view, which is going to be an apple that falls from the top. So to do that, we're going to say var apple equals UI image view, and then we'll just do a blank one. Then we'll do apple dot image equals UI image. We're going to open this up, and then we're going to do named, and then the name of what you called it in your photos over here. And I called mine apple.png. Then what we want to do is set the frame for the apple, which means like it's going to be like the height, the width, and where we want the apple to appear on the screen. So as default, we'll just do apple.frame and frame takes a CG rect. So CG rect, open it up, and go down here where it says X, Y, width, and height. So the X, we're just going to have it start at, let's just say 30. Our Y value, let's say, will be at 30 as well. And the width and height will be 30 by 30. Alright. And the last thing we need is to add it to our view. So self dot view dot add subview, and it's going to be that apple. And then we also, actually what we're going to do is we need to get a random number so that when the apple falls from this area up here, it's going to fall from the same Y direction, which is up here, but we want it to fall at different X values. So to do that, we need to generate a different number every second. So what I did was I copied and pasted this statement right here. We're going to call it random number. And what it's basically doing is getting us a random number from 0 to what we described right here, which is uiscreen.main.bounds.size.width. So that just means a random number from 0 to the size of the width of this screen. And alright, plus 1. So now that we have that random number, we want it to fall from a random X value over here. So what we need to do is just add that random number. Oops. Add that random number to our X value and then let it appear in our subview. Let's build and run. Alright. As you can see, random apples are generating and they're getting different X values every time, random areas. So now what we need to do is we need them to fall every, let's say, fraction of a second. So what we're going to do is we need another timer now within that timer. So in this timer, we're going to do timer.scheduled, again the same one. And let's say this one will happen every 0.003 seconds. Repeats true. And then we'll just call this T2 to not confuse the different timers. And what we want to do in this is we want the apple to fall, which means our x-axis goes this way and our y goes this way. So to fall, which means that our y is getting bigger. So we're just going to increment our y value every time. So what we're going to do is apple.center.y plus equals 1. So it's just going to add 1 to the y value every 0.003 of a second. Let's build and run that, see if that's working. Alright, yep, you see our apples are falling now. Alright. Now what we want to do is give our basket the ability to move, because right now if I click and try to drag it, it doesn't move anywhere. So to do that, we need to go to our main.storyboard, click the basket, and then in the attribute inspector, where it says interaction, click user interaction enabled, and then we're going to open up this assistant editor right over here, and then make sure it's set to automatic, and then it should already be on this one called gameplay. That's the name of our class that this basket is associated with. So we're going to control click and drag it and get a reference to it. We're just going to call it basket. Alright, we can close the assistant editor, open up the regular one, and go to gameplay. So what we're going to do, and our view will appear, is we're going to go up here, and we're going to do self.basket, which is a reference to our image view of the basket. And then we want to add a gesture recognizer to it. So we're going to go down here and create another function. I already have it here. I copied and pasted it, and it's called move. So basically what this is doing is it's a UI pan gesture recognizer, so which means if the user were to touch something on your screen and drag it or move it somewhere. And so this translation right here is just a recognizer or where it's been moved, where the thing that you dragged has been moved to. And so the recognizer view center, that's the actual image view that you were dragging. And so the X, we're just resetting the X value to add the translation. And the translation, like I said, is where you moved it to. So we're going to adjust the X value to this one. And then if you move the Y, we're just going to, we would have this plus translation.x. But since we don't want to move it at all in the X or in the Y direction, we're just going to have recognizer.view.center.y, not this plus translation.y or whatever we would add there. And then we just set the translation. And so one more thing we still have to do is we said add gesture recognizer. Now we want to know which one. So this is going to be a UI pan gesture recognizer, and then open it up with a parenthesis. And then this first one, the target is self, and the action is going to be the name of this controller, which is gameplay, and then dot move, the function that we just created. And I still have an error. It's actually because the action is, this is going to be a selector, so selector, and then open up some more parentheses, and then in here now you can type in that gameplay dot move. Alright, and it looks like I have an extra parenthesis, or I don't have enough. Yep, I need to add one more. And now you can see that our basket is able to move. Now what we need to do is add a label up here to get the score, and then we want to end the game if the apple goes past the bottom of the screen, and if it goes in the basket we want to add one to our score. So we're going to start by going to our main.storyboard and adding a label to the top. This is for the score. We'll just make it a little bit bigger. And then so we can see it better. The text will just say 0 because our score will start at 0. We'll center it. And we could bold it, make it bigger. And then maybe change it to white so we can see it better. Alright, let's put it like right here. Alright. And then go to the triangle, reset our constraints. Alright. Now we need to go to our assistant editor and get a reference to that score text label. So we're going to go up here and we're going to type in score. Alright. Now we can close this. Now what we want to do is we'll start with ending the game if the apples pass the screen. So in our second timer, every 0.003 seconds is going to check to see if our apple is past the bottom of the screen. So it's going to be an if statement. We'll just say if. And that means that we'll say if the center of the apple is past the bottom of the screen, meaning that its Y value is bigger than this, the bottom of this basket, then the game is over. So we're going to say apple.center.y is greater than self.basket.center.y plus 25. All right. That just means that the center of the basket is right here, and the basket's 50 by 50. So center is at 25, you add 25 more. That's the bottom of the screen. All right, and we want the game to be over. So we'll just, um, these two timers right here, see T2 and T1 we called them, we'll just invalidate them, meaning that we'll end the timers. So T1 to invalidate, T2. All right, and then we'll just set an alert controller to let us know that the game is over. So we'll just say let alert equal UI alert controller, open up the parenthesis, pick this third one that says has a title and message. Title will just say game over, blank, and the style will just say dot alert. All right, and now we need an action for when we press a button, and the button's gonna say okay. So we'll just do alert dot add action. All right, and then we're gonna open up inside these parentheses. It needs a UI alert action. So we're gonna open up the parentheses, and we're gonna choose this first one right here with the title and string again. The title is gonna say okay. The style is just gonna be dot default. And then inside of this handler, we're just going to press enter on it, and the action, we'll just call it action. And then in here is where the code, what we want to actually happen is what we're going to code in here. So I think we're missing a parenthesis to close this all up. And what we want to do is go back to the home page. So we're going to go to our main.storyboard and choose our home page VC. And then we're going to go to our inspectors. We're going to choose this one, which is the identity inspector. And then I already did this, but what you're going to do is you're going to check use storyboard ID and put in a certain ID. It could be anything, but just whatever you want to call it. This will be an ID for that home page. So when we want a reference to it, we're going to use this ID. And then go back into here. All right. Now what we want to do is go to that page. So we'll just say let home equals self.storyboard dot instantiate view controller with identifier. And that identifier is going to be what we called it over here in main.storyboard. And then we're just going to say as the home page view controller, which is what we called our Swift file for that. And then we're just going to present that. So we're going to say self.present. Then go to this one where it says view controller to present, view controller in completion. And the view controller we want to present is this one that we just created, home. Animated can be true and nil can be false. All right. Now that we got that, we're going to get out of this and we want to present that alert. So again, self.present, alert, true, and nil. Now let's build and run this to see if it's working. All right, I'm going to run it and let an apple fall and just see what happens. And you can see that it gives us our alert controller and it says game over. Press OK, and it takes us back to this home screen. All right, now that we got that, what we want to do is we want to see when we score. And to score, we want an apple to be in between here and here, and we want it to be in between this area right here. We want it to pass the top of this basket. So to do that, we're going to set some more constraints. We'll just do it right under here. Another if statement. And so what we want is the apple dot center dot its x value, and we want that to be greater than this but less than this. So we're going to say greater than the basket dot center dot x value, but that would be here. This is the center. So the basket is 50 by 50, so if you minus half of that, 25, it would be here. So we want that to be, again, greater than self.basket.center dot its x value, and the basket's 50 by 50, so if you minus 25, then it would be the left side of that basket. If you add 25, that'd be this other right side of the basket. So we got that. Then we want to do the same. We want it to be less than this side though. So, oh, and I'm actually missing something right here. This should be minus 15 because our apple is 30 by 30. So half of the apple, we want the left side of it. Minus 15 would be the left side, plus 15 would be the right. All right. And then we got this and now for the other side, plus 15 this side, because we're doing the other one. And then we want that to be less than the basket. All right. So we got it to be in between here, and now we want it to be less than this, less than the top of this basket right here. So to do that, we're going to say another and apple dot center dot its y value. Or we could just do the center of it. So we just want the center of the apple to pass the top of this basket. And so that's the center, and we want that to be greater than the self dot basket dot center dot y, and that would be minus 25. Since the basket is 50 by 50, the 25 minus 25, that'd be right up there. All right. So that would mean that we scored. Let me see what this error is. All right, it went away. All right. So that would mean that we scored. So what we want to do is we want to make a variable up here for our current score. So I'll just say var current score equals 0. I think I already had it. I'm going to delete it. So that's our current score, what our score is going to start at. And so what we want to do is current score, and we want to add 1. So plus equal 1, that just means current score, you just add 1 to it. And then we want to set the label of our score that we have to that new number. So self.score.text, which is our text label. And we want that to be a string carrying our current score. So to do that, just open the parentheses, backslash, and then put it in these parentheses, right? And fix these errors. Self and self. Oh, and right here, I was getting an error because I forgot to put .y. All right. Let's build and run our app and see what's going on. Try to catch one. See, we got some on our score, but our score jumped all the way up to here. So to fix this, what we're going to do is when the apple falls, even though we catch it, it keeps going down, and then it ends the game because it would be game over. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the position of that apple to be somewhere way up there so it can fall again. So that's over here. So once we catch the apple, which is here, we're going to just apple.center dot its y value. We'll just put it way up there. So we'll just put it at like, let's just say negative 100,000. So it probably will not come for a while. You won't see this apple unless you're really good at the game. Alright, I'm going to run it. Alright, 2, you can see our game is working, and then game over. And I'm having a little bit of a lag. I don't know if you guys are getting the same problem, but if not, you don't have to do anything. If you do, then I'm going to go ahead and fix it right now. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to my main.storyboard and I'm going to click this basket and then go to my outlets. I'm actually going to press exit on here where it says basket gameplay. And then I'm going to delete this basket and we're going to do it programmatically. So go back to our gameplay. Anywhere up here where it says basket, we're going to delete this. What we want to do is we want to create the basket programmatically. So right here, I'm going to say var basket equals UI image view. All right. And then in here in our view did appear, where we have this, is where we're going to set up the frame of our basket. So basket dot, first of all, the image is going to be a UI image. Open up the parenthesis and name, and then whatever you named it here, I named mine basket.png. And then set the frame dot frame equals, and frame takes a CG rect, open it up, and then it's this one. So the X value is just going to be in the middle of this, or no, yeah, the X value is going to be in the middle of the screen, like right here. So to get the middle of the screen, you can actually type in UI screen dot main dot bounds dot size dot width. So that's the whole width of the screen, and then divide that by 2. That will just give you halfway. So divided by 2. And for the Y value, it's going to be way down here. So you're going to do something similar. We're just going to, you can copy this. And instead of width, you're going to do height. And then you're going to do minus 50, which is the height of our basket. And for the width, we'll just do 50 by 50. And then basket dot is user interaction enabled. And we're going to say equals true. And then we're going to say self dot view dot add subview, which is that basket. Alright, I'm going to try to build and run it again and see if that lagging disappears. And yep, it looks like it has. So I'm going to actually try to play the game now, see if everything's working fine. Catch this. And then I'm gonna miss this next apple. And it says game over. Alright, so it looks like everything is right on our app so far. If you guys have any other questions, just comment below. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you want, I would like you guys to check out my app. It's called SportsFit. It's on the iOS iTunes store, and it's a fitness app that lets you know how many people are in the gym. And so if you could give me some feedback on that or check it out and share it with your friends, that'd be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching this tutorial, and comment down in the comments any other type of tutorials you guys would like to see.